When you say, I desire whatever it is, and Source says, here it is. Here is the avenue for you to receive whatever it is. And you are feeling joyful about the idea of it. Now you are in alignment with your own desire, and circumstances and events are being aligned for you. But if you have said, I want such and then you spend your time saying, but where is it? When you say, I need more money, but I have not enough. Or more importantly, when you say, I want more money, but you feel the insecurity or even the fear of not having enough money, what is happening is, without meaning to, you've become so accustomed to noticing how things are that you have begun to practice a vibration. In fact, you've practiced it so well that it has become what you call a belief. We would call it an activated thought that is so often activated that now it's a dominant activated thought. So it's just how you feel, which means it's how you vibrate relative to some subjects. And when you get a vibration going that says, I don't have enough of something, or I'm too fat, or I'm not smart, or I can't find something, when that is the active vibration within you, you can't buck that current. Anything that you actively give your attention to for a long enough period of time that it's dominant within your vibration will manifest around you. In other words, you make your truths. So saying, I should focus upon this thing I do not want because it is true is like saying, well, somebody else focused upon it and made it active in their vibration long enough that they have manifested. And so since they have done it, I should do it too. And what we would say to you instead is, be very particular about the things that you want to live, and give your attention to those things that you want to live, and practice giving your attention to things that feel good. And as you do so, you will activate them in your vibration enough that they will become a vibrational proclivity. You will activate them often enough that they will become your habit of vibration. And when that happens, then you are in vibrational alignment. Your signals line up. You've got your tuner set to the same frequency of your own desire, and it must come. We have a sort of, really important announcement to make to you today, and that is, you cannot get it wrong, and you'll never get it done. And the reason that you can't get it wrong is because it will never be done. In other words, you are, we are, you are, we are all eternal beings. We never stop being. And good never stops flowing to us. Oh, you can get focused in a way where you pinch it off pretty good. And it will appear that good is not flowing. But it is not because you're not asking. And it's not because Source is not answering. It's because you have somehow, some way achieved vibrational alignment with something other than your own desire. The good news is your guidance system lets you know every single time where you are. That's what negative emotion means. Negative emotion is saying, when possible, make a legal U-turn. In other words, negative emotion is saying what you're focused upon right now, which you clearly have the right to do, is so activated in your vibration, and the signals are not matching up. So the vibration of your desire is one vibration, but the vibration of where you are giving most of your attention is another. And so there is resistance within you. And that emotion that you feel, whether you call it fear or anger or frustration, it doesn't really matter the name of it. In every case, it is the same thing. It is vibrational resistance. There are many emotions that you feel, and your emotions are all about the only thing that really matters, which is your relationship with your Source. So, as the contrast of your environment inspires or stimulates desire or focus or wanting from you, that desire is literally summoning. This is a universe that is based upon attraction. There is no assertion. There is no exclusion anywhere in this universe. In other words, when you see something that you want and you say yes to it, you include it in your vibration. But when you see something that you don't want and you say no to it, you include it in your vibration. So shouting no at something is the same thing as saying, come to me, this thing I do not want. Because there is no yes or no. There's only attention to it or not attention to it. You cannot just cease giving your attention to something, but you can give your attention to something else. So when you make a decision, nothing is more important than that I feel good. What you're actually saying is, I have decided that I am going to feel my way through my days and do my best to find thoughts and words and actions that align with what feels best to me. So many physical beings are going about life in such a hard way because instead of living from the inside out, they are trying to do it from the outside in, so to speak. And we understand how it happens. When you see something that makes you feel good, you say, yes, I want more of that. I would like to vote for more of that. I would like to join committees that promote more of that. And when you see something that you don't want, that makes you feel bad when you see it, then you say, we need to make laws about that, and we need to find ways of prohibiting people from doing that makes us feel bad. But there is enormous entrapment for you if you approach life in that way, because what that means is you have to work very hard at controlling all of these circumstances that you cannot control. Where when you decide, I'm going to set my tuner to what is a vibrational match to what feels good, then by law of attraction, only those things that are a vibrational match to the vibration that you're emitting come back to you. You don't set your radio tuner on 98.6 and worry about 6:30 a.m. being played instead. In other words, you know that you're going to get what's being broadcast from the transmitter that you set to. And the same thing is true about everything. You get in every single case, no exceptions, exactly what your vibrational output is. Sometimes things may not be going the way you want them to. Even Esther from time to time will say, Abraham, I would like to be the one exception in all of the universe. I would like to get what I want, never mind where my vibration is and never mind what I am attracting. Give me what I want. Just make me the one exception and I'll be really good from now on, she will say. But we say one thing about law of attraction is it's a very powerful law, and it is always consistent. It always matches your vibrational frequency. And the wonderful thing about that is once you begin paying attention to the way you feel, and once you begin noticing the correlation between what you're thinking and feeling and what's coming to you, then you begin to recognize, you say, oh, I saw that coming. I could feel that coming. I recognize the feelings and thoughts that have been moving through me that are a match to this thing that has happened, because it cannot ever be otherwise. So rather than trying to control conditions, you said when you made the decision to come forth into these bodies that you would learn and understand and teach and know and live unconditional love. A lot of people talk about unconditional love, but almost no one really understands what it means. And what it means is, I'm going to find a way to align with who I really am, regardless of the conditions. And if I can pick from among what I see and what I remember and what I want, if I can pick from among it, those things that feel good long enough and often enough, I will achieve such vibrational alignment with who I really am and what I'm really wanting that everything must come into alignment. Unconditional love says, I will adjust the vibration that I'm offering. Let's say that again. I will adjust what I give my attention to. I will adjust the projection of my thought. I will adjust my focus. I will deliberately choose what I focus upon with the reason that I want to feel the corresponding good feeling of alignment. And in doing so, I will be in the state of allowing. Some of you have been listening to us for a while, and you know, for a while we called this science of deliberate creation. And we watched you. Oh, the science of deliberate creation. You were so deliberate about your thoughts. You made yourselves a little crazy about it. You worried about your thoughts. Sometimes we would hear you say, cancel, cancel. You tried to suck the thought back in or the words back in before law of attraction began to move on it. And then we wanted to say to you that really, it's so much simpler than most of you are letting it be. If you will think in terms of the art of allowing, which means allowing what? Allowing myself to be in alignment with who I really am, and therefore allowing all the good that naturally flows. We said earlier that you are extensions of source energy, extensions of pure positive energy. And when you allow, that source energy flows to you and through you. You never walk into a room and look for a dark switch. You know there's a light switch that will project a source of light, but there's not another switch that floods inky darkness that covers the light. Instead, there's a resistor that mutes the light. And in the same way that there is not a dark switch, there is not a source of evil or a source of sickness. There's only a stream of well-being which you are allowing or not. We certainly understand that if you have been raised in an environment where you've been focusing upon things that have caused you to feel bad and you've learned patterns of vibrations so that you have not allowed the fullness of who you really are to flow, and the consequence is that you're sick or that you're unhappy or that uncomfortable things are happening to you, we understand how uncomfortable it might be to hear some old dead guy say, you are the creator of your own reality, and that you are worthy of good things, because you say, well, if I am so worthy of so many good things, why are the good things not flowing to me? Or what about that? Or what about that? Or often, what about the children? What about the babies? How can bad things happen to people? And we say, everything is coming in vibrational response to your vibrational output. And we know that there are a lot of you who are offering vibrations in response to what you're seeing. You say, but it's true. But until you remember who you are, and until you remember that you are supposed to feel good, and until you become selfish enough that you want to feel good, as long as you are trying to guide yourself from what somebody else thinks or what somebody else wants, you will be like a cork on a raging sea. You will be all over the place because so many different vantage points need and want so many different things from you. The way you align with who you are is by making a decision. And if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would make this decision fast and we would repeat it to ourselves often. And that decision would be, nothing is more important than that I feel good. Because when you make that decision, what you're saying is, I'm going to be alert to the way I feel, which means I'm going to know what my vibrational frequency is. I'm going to feel when I introduce through my thought process resistance that mutes the well-being that would be there otherwise. Can you hear that? The well-being that would be there otherwise. In other words, most of you have no idea how worthy you are, how blessed you are, how deserving you are, because you've picked up along your physical trail thoughts that little by little diminish that. And then those thoughts begin to feel normal to you. And as you keep practicing them, then you, without meaning to, mute your own well-being. Esther will say, and we know many of you have the experience, that a little bit of negative emotion goes a long way these days, because when you get used to the energy moving and when you're summoning energy and then you focus in opposition with it, it's very, very hard on you. And sometimes people teach, in fact, there are whole movements that teach, well, you just shouldn't want anything. You'll feel better if you can stop focusing desire. And we say, the entire universe is established to stimulate new desire. In other words, this is an eternal universe that continues to expand. And you are on the leading edge of thought, you see. You can't stop having new preferences born within you. And that's why we say that the only way to begin to feel good and begin to be in sync with who you really are is to find ways to lower your resistance, which means find other things to think about, which means find something to think about that you can reach, and then keep thinking up the trail. Keep thinking and feeling, thinking and feeling, thinking and feeling, all the way up the emotional meter. And most importantly, stop beating up on yourself for wherever you are. Wherever you are is just fine. Wherever you are is exactly right. Wherever you are is just fine by everybody's standards but yours, perhaps. And if there is something that you want that is different, then begin talking about what you want and why you want it until you begin to achieve a vibrational alignment with your new desire. And it is our absolute promise to you that anything and everything that you desire must come to you once you find vibrational alignment with it. And if it's not coming, it is for only one reason. You haven't found vibrational alignment with it. You are amazing the excuses that you offer as humans about why things are not going better for you. You express words of unworthiness, which cannot be. You are adored. Sometimes you say, I wasn't born under the right star, or I wasn't born in the right town, or to the right parents. Sometimes, if you're really desperate, you blame it on past lives. I must have starved to death in a past life, and so now I'm wanting to eat a lot. And we say, It only has to do with your relationship right here and now between you and what you are allowing as this transmitting and receiving being that you are with that which is your source.